folks, it's J. Ramey here. J. Ramey, attorney at law, coming to you live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, actually, we're not really live. This is pre-recorded and heavily, very heavily edited to make me look good and smart. Anyway, this is another episode of Know Your Rights. This is episode number 10, and this episode is Public Drunk. I thought we'd talk a little bit about public drunk because I have people coming into my office all the time that have many misconceptions about public drunk. They don't understand it at all. They think you can be drunk in a car. They think you can be drunk in a bar. They think you can be drunk in many places out in public, which you can't. That's why it's called public drunk. If you're anywhere out in public, and you're drunk, you're in violation of the law. Now, of course, we all know this is a bogus law. I like to call it the contempt of cop law because it's used by cops in a lot of circumstances. When you show them contempt, you mouthed off to them, or they just don't like the way you look, they don't like the way you talk to them, they don't like the way you walk, they don't like the way, whatever. So they just decide, well, we're going to arrest this guy for public drunk, even if there's no evidence that he's drunk, or maybe he had one beer and we can smell a little bit of alcohol in his breath. We're going to show this guy, we're going to arrest him, we're going to take him down to the jailhouse, we're going to lock him up. He'll bond out in a couple hours, he'll get out in a couple hours, then he'll go to court. Well, typically in Oklahoma, when you go to court on public drunk, they offer you a $100 fine plus court costs. So, some guy gets arrested by the cops, he's been thrown in jail, he goes to the court, they offer him a $100 fine. Well, what does he want to do? He want to just pay that and be done with it, or does he actually want to have a jury trial? Well, most people are going to opt for the jury trial. Most people are going to opt for just paying the fine and be done with it. So the cops know they can get away with it. They know they just make up a public drunk arrest just because they don't like you, or they, you didn't talk to them nice or something like that. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about it. I got the statute here for public drunk in Oklahoma, and it's kind of funny because you can tell this was written in a long time ago, in olden times, I guess. It says, if any person shall be drunk or intoxicated in any public or private road, or in any passenger coach, streetcar, or any public place or building, there we go, or any public place. I see, they don't even have to put all this other stuff, and I don't know why they put all this other stuff. All they have to say is in any public place. But, they have to mention the passenger coach and streetcar, or any public place or building, or at any public gathering, from drinking or consuming such intoxicating liquor, intoxicating substance, or intoxicating compound. So it doesn't have to be just alcohol. It can be any intoxicating substance or compound, whatever the difference between those two are. But they got to even talk about more stuff. Or from an inhalation of glue, paint, or other intoxicating substance. So, they pretty much cover it. They could just say any intoxicating substance, which would cover everything, but they got to mention glue or paint or liquor. Anyway, if you're in violation of that, you are public drunk. And you are guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction shall be punished by a fine of not less than $10, no more than $100, or imprisonment for not less than 5 days, nor more than 30 days. And again, I've never seen anybody get any jail time. They always, every time they show up in court, they're offered a $100 fine plus court costs. Now, folks, again, this is any public place. I don't know why people think. Well, let's talk about the DUIs and the designated driver. The police. Some politicians constantly tell us, well, you can go out drinking all you want, just get a designated driver to take you home, everything will be okay then. Well, if you have a designated driver and you get pulled over, let's say there's 3 of you in the car, the designated driver and 2 other people, and the cop pulls you over, he can arrest the other two guys in the car that aren't driving for public drunk. It's not a defense to be in a car. I get people arrested all the time in a car. Now, most of the time or some of the time, I mean, I don't know. The cops, they pull you over, you got a designated driver. At least some of the time, some cops are okay, fine, and you know, deal with the driver, whatever they pulled you over for, and they're going to arrest you for public drunk. Some of the time. Maybe most of the time. I don't know. What I'm telling you is I get people in this office all the time that have been arrested for public drunk when they're in a car, and the driver's not drunk. Maybe they even got a designated driver. It's public drunk in a car, so it doesn't. They can say, you know, the police and all that can say everything they want to about designated drivers, so you don't get a DUI. Well, yeah, you won't get a DUI. They can still arrest you for public drunk. And they take you downtown, lock you in a cage, you bond out and go to court, and they're offering you a $100 fine. Well, and let's talk a little bit about what you know, there's no definition of this in the statute. It says, if any person shall be drunk or intoxicated. Well, you know, what does that mean, drunk or intoxicated? I get people all the time, well, they didn't give me a breath test. Well, it doesn't have to be a breath test. They don't have to give you a breath test. All the cop has to do is come to court and say, or lie, you know, that he was intoxicated. Oh, I've been a police officer, and based on my training and experience, I knew this man was drunk. He was in an intoxicated state down there out on the street. You know, whatever. But there's no definition to it. It doesn't have to be .08. You don't have to get a breath test. Because .08 is drunk for legal purposes for driving your car, but it's not public drunk. Anyway, there's a court case, and I've read this case many times because it always comes up. It was 1977. It's really the latest, newest case on public drunk to define some of these terms. And it's Findley versus City of Tulsa, 1977. And the guy who got convicted of public drunk, he challenged his conviction on a number of things. One of the things he challenged it on was, what does intoxication mean? It's not defined. It's unfair to be able to convict you of something so vague. So the court said, the condition of being in a state of intoxication is a matter of general knowledge, the meaning of which is sufficiently settled and commonly understood, so that definite and sensible definition may be made of the words of the ordinance in question. And in this case, it was a city ordinance. It was the City of Tulsa ordinance, but it's that city ordinance was the exact same as the state law, public drunk. Anyway, the court goes on to cite a case, Galt versus State from 1929, where the definition of intoxication was as follows. A person is drunk in a legal sense when so far under the influence of liquor that his passions are visibly excited, or his judgment impaired by the liquor. Well, again, I would say, well, what does that mean? What does judgment impaired by the liquor? What does that mean? I mean, I do think it is vague. As far as public drunk goes, what does it mean to be intoxicated? But the court says, oh no, it's fine. But again, they don't have to give you a breath test. There's no requirement that the cop comes and say, oh, he blew .08. All that has to happen, the cop shows up, and you know, if you took this to trial, the cop would show up. Well, my training and experience, I know drunks. I've heard them say that before too. That's my training. I've been dealing with drunks my whole career. I knew this man to be drunk. That's all they got to say. No, I mean, well, then it's up from there. It's up to the jury. You know, is the jury going to believe it or not? But it's again, it's you know, all it takes is for that cop to show up in court, even if it's a lie, because we know they all lie all the time. Just because they're pissed off, you know, at you because, you know, I don't know, you had a T-shirt on that said, you know, cop block or something. You know, who knows? I mean, they're arresting people. They arrest people for public drunk all the time who aren't causing trouble, who aren't doing anything wrong. They just have a problem with them for some reason, and so they make up public. Again, it's one of those contempt of cop charges because they know they can get away with it. They're going to take you to jail, lock you in a cage, and when you show up in court, the court's going to offer you $100 fine plus court costs. I mean, most people don't want to take it to trial, although I've never taken one to trial. We set one for trial not long ago, and the state chickened out at the last minute and dismissed the case. But most people don't want to take these to trial. I mean, what the problem is, they arrest you for public drunk, and then next thing they find marijuana or meth or whatever, or a gun, and when they pat you down and arrest you, and then that was the basis for the arrest, but now you're charged with something more serious, especially like meth, which leads to a felony charge. Of course, marijuana would just lead to a misdemeanor charge. And the problem is you can't challenge that arrest for DUI, for public drunk, that led to the finding of the marijuana or the meth or whatever. You can't challenge that on a motion to suppress, saying it was an illegal arrest, because all that has to happen, that cop shows up and says, I arrested him for public drunk and I knew he was drunk, my training experience. Well, anyway, the judge says, oh, well, sounds good to me. Yeah, sounds like a public drunk to me. So anyway. So let's talk about our rights. What are our rights? You really have nothing when it comes to public drunk. I mean, you're screwed. Some cop wants to say he arrested you for public drunk, and he shows up to court and says, well, they smell like alcohol, and based on my training experience, well, I mean, you're screwed. Some of the things we need to do, always stay away from cops, like I do, especially if you have any liquor on your breath. Any whatsoever, even if you're in a bar, even if you're out at Oktoberfest, even if all these even ifs, it's illegal to be drunk in a bar. I hate to tell you that, folks. You can't, drunk or intoxicated, as defined by the statute. It's illegal to be drunk in a bar. It's illegal to be drunk in out of Oktoberfest down at the river. That's the reason. I mean, I don't like crowds anyway. That's one reason I don't go to these places. I don't like crowds, but there's always cops there. I'm not going to go drink anywhere where there's going to be cops around, like Oktoberfest or any special event. I like going down to Kilkenny's here down on 15th Street and having a beer and having some dinner, but I would never go down there on St. Patrick's Day. Number one, there's crowds, but number two, there's cops there. They got cops. So don't ever go anywhere drinking around a cop. Just don't do it. But as I've always said, we never tell the cops we've ever had a drink of liquor in our life. We don't ever tell them we've had any drug, including marijuana, methamphetamine, prescription drugs, in our life. Don't ever tell them that. You keep your damn mouth shut and tell them, I got nothing to say, I need to talk to an attorney. Now, that's probably not going to keep you from getting arrested for public drunk. Some cop decides he wants to arrest you for it. But, that's the best thing I can tell you. I guess this episode of Know Your Rights wasn't so much about your rights, but it was about knowing what public drunk is and is not. And just remember, you can be arrested in a bar. I remember reading in the newspaper several years ago, the cops were going around to bars in the Dallas area. And I think they were even going to hotels. So like a guy is up in his room, he goes down to the hotel bar, and he's just going to walk back to his room. They were arresting people for public drunk in these bars. And I think the restaurant owners and the hotel owners got pretty mad about it once they started complaining. They stopped doing that. But, this is the way cops are. They can go into a bar and arrest you for public drunk. So, and they can arrest you in a car for public drunk. I've said it over and over. I'm beating a dead horse. But I don't know why some people don't understand this. They come in there, they come in my office and tell me they're a great defense to the public drunk. And I'm like, if you're anywhere out in public, I had a guy arrested once. He was in a hotel, and he came out onto the balcony, and he was walking to the hotel next door. Well, the cops were there looking for, they already suspected this guy of selling drugs, being involved with drugs. That's what they were looking for. So they're undercover up there. And he comes out, and they arrest him right there. for public drunk. And I challenged that. I filed motions. I said, look, this is ridiculous. All he did is come out of his room and he was going to walk to the room next door and go inside. No. Judge said, nope, that's fine. That's public drunk. According to the statute and all the law, I mean, I guess the judge was right. But, I mean, it's ridiculous. We all know it's ridiculous. But anyway, it is what it is. So just remember, folks, you can be arrested for public drunk anywhere outside your house. So that's it. That's Know Your Rights, episode 10 for today, folks. And I will see you next time. So long.